Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a collection of crypto news and market analysis you sent over, and that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Yeah, that's good.
We're seeing some, well, pretty significant upward movement in the crypto space.
Yeah, definitely some green arrows.
So our mission really is to unpack what's driving these price surges and figure out the key takeaways you should be aware of.
That's right. And our main source for this is a recent YouTube video. It's from the Crypto Daily Trade Signals channel.
Okay.
The title is XRP and Dogecoin Surge. Here's why crypto is pumping today. Massive news update.
So it should give us a pretty good snapshot.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, the video highlights this clear positive shift. The total market cap, it's up noticeably.
Yeah, that's the big picture.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. The video says the total market cap is now actually above $3 trillion,
Wow, okay.
which is up from $2.94 trillion just the day before. So that's, what, roughly a 2.58% jump in one day. That's a pretty solid move, especially for the whole market cap. And what's interesting alongside that is the mention of strong Bitcoin dominance.
Right. What exactly does that mean in this context?
Well, it's Bitcoin's share of the total crypto market value.
Yeah.
The video describes it as, wait for it, screaming like bull run.
Okay, haha. So pretty strong then.
Yeah, suggests Bitcoin is either leading the charge or holding its value really well compared to others right now. It's often seen as a bullish sign,
Got it. And Bitcoin's price itself, where's that sitting?
It's around $96,795, pulled back slightly from a peak over $97,300, but still.
Still up about 3%, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Ethereum's also up 1,828%.
Okay, so the big two are moving, but it sounds like it's broader than that.
Oh, yeah. We're seeing green across the board, XRP up 2%. Binance Coin, BNB, that's up nearly 0.9%.
Okay.
Solana, they called it WANA in the video, probably just a slip.
WANA. Okay.
Yeah, WANA's up 2.37%. And even Dogecoin is up, trading at about 17 cents, long 0.17716.
So it's pretty widespread.
Very much so. They also mentioned Pengu, Fed no ticker given for that one, and Litecoin. Litecoin's actually up significantly, like 12%.
12%. Wow.
Yeah. And they showed the crypto bubbles chart, saying it looked very green, just, gains almost everywhere.
And that tracks with the sentiment, right? The fear and greed index.
Absolutely. It's at 67. So firmly in greed territory. Suggests people are feeling pretty optimistic, maybe even a bit too optimistic, we'll say.
Right. And looking a bit longer term, Bitcoin's monthly returns for May.
Up almost 2.9% so far for May.
Okay. And Ethereum? You mentioned Q1 was rough for ETH.
Yeah, Q1 was down nearly 12%, negative 11.82%. But Q2 so far is up 1.05%. And year-to-date for Q2, it's actually up 17.37%.
So a definite turnaround for Ethereum there.
Seems like it, yeah, a change in momentum.
Okay, so the big question, why? What's the video pointing to as the main driver for all this green?
Well, here's where it gets interesting. It goes beyond just crypto. The primary reason cited is news that China has apparently agreed to start trade talks with the U.S.
Ah, okay. The China trade talks, that's potentially a very big deal, not just for crypto.
Exactly. It highlights how interconnected everything is, doesn't it? Global economics, trade news. It seems to be creating this wave of optimism.
So it's lifting traditional markets too, like S&P futures.
Yep, the video mentioned those were up as well. It's like a rising tide, lifting all boats, including crypto. The presenter even speculated a bit.
Oh.
Suggested this timing might be strategic, to get attention. Who knows? But it definitely seems to be impacting sentiment.
So the idea is basically good news on the global stage makes people more willing to take on risk, and crypto benefits from that risk-on mood.
That seems to be the connection they're drawing, yeah.
Yeah.
Crypto often gets lumped into that higher risk category.
Makes sense. Okay, so the video then zooms in on some specific coins, right? Starting with XRP.
Yes. And the speaker sounds, well, pretty convicted about XRP.
How so?
They believe the price is being, and I quote, artificially depressed.
Huh. Any reason given?
Not specified why, but they did say institutions are accumulating it, buying it up.
Interesting. Institutions are buying even if the price is supposedly depressed.
Yeah. And they also mentioned potential upcoming XRP ETFs as a positive catalyst down the road, making it easier for more people to invest.
Right, the ETF factor. Okay, what about Dogecoin? I think the presenter said they were a longtime supporter.
They did, yeah. But it sounds like their short-term focus has maybe shifted a bit more towards XRP for, like, quicker potential upside.
Okay, so what's the analysis for Doge look like?
Technically not great in the immediate term. according to the video. They pointed out a W pattern that seemed to fail,
A failed WU.
and also a descending triangle pattern forming on the chart.
Descending triangle, usually not a bullish sign, right?
Generally, no. It suggests the price might be more likely to break downwards if it can't push higher soon. They even threw out a potential downside target, around 12 cents.
Ouch. So even in a green market, specific coins can face their own pressures.
Definitely. It's not always uniform. Individual charts and dynamics matter.
Okay. Now, the video didn't just stop at crypto specifics or the China news. It covered a whole range of other sort of economic and geopolitical stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. A real mix. Quite a bit on the positive side regarding trade, actually.
Like what?
Well, U.S. and U.K. expected to sign a new trade deal this week. President Trump reportedly saying India agreed to cut tariffs on U.S. goods.
Okay.
Canadian Prime Minister Carney apparently visiting the White House for trade talks. And the U.S. and Saudi Arabia supposedly finalizing new mining deals.
Wow, that's a lot of potential positive movement on the trade front. Signals towards more global activity, maybe?
Could be interpreted that way, yeah. Lots of different pieces moving.
And what about the Fed? The FOMC announcement on interest rates was coming up.
Yes, yeah. Scheduled for that afternoon, May 7th. But the expectation in the video was, well, basically a nothing burger.
Haha. Okay, so no rate hikes, no cuts expected.
Pretty much. The market seemed to have already factored that in. Just hold steady.
And the U.S. dollar index, the DXY, it was mentioned as being down.
Yeah, the DXY was down. And for listeners, that's usually seen as a good thing for assets like crypto.
Right. Weaker dollar makes other assets potentially more attractive.
Exactly. They also noted Bitcoin hit that recent peak, $97,751, and that an upward support line held, which technical folks see as positive.
Gotcha. Any other interesting tidbits, like institutional interest or big names?
There were a few, yeah.
Yeah.
I mentioned people like Justin BlackRock, probably meaning BlackRock folks.
Right, Larry Fink, maybe?
Yeah, Larry Fink, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, attending some investor conference in Saudi Arabia, aiming to boost U.S. investments there, supposedly.
Okay.
And closer to home, the governor of New Hampshire actually signed a law allowing the state to invest in Bitcoin and crypto.
Really? A U.S. state? That feels significant, like more mainstream acceptance.
It does, yeah. Shows it's moving beyond just individual investors, institutions, even state level.
Now, it wasn't all positive news, though, was it? Were there some concerning points?
There were a couple, yeah. One was a report of India launching a missile attack on Pakistan, presented as concerning, unexpected. Adds uncertainty, right?
Definitely. Geopolitical risks.
And on the policy side, Treasury Secretary Basnet reportedly came out against a central bank digital currency, a CBDC.
Against it? Why?
Called it a sign of weakness and said the Fed shouldn't support it. So push back against that idea from some corners.
Interesting. What about Europe, the ECB and the digital euro?
Well, the video mentioned the ECB plans to partner with the private sector on it, but the presenters sounded kind of skeptical about that approach. So different views on how digital currencies should evolve.
Seems like a lot of debate there. Any other market observations?
Just a few general ones.
Yeah.
Blockchain evolving from just a buzzword to more of a financial backbone, real applications growing.
Okay, good point.
Also, a chart was mentioned suggesting BNB, Binance Coin, could potentially more than double. Take that with a grain of salt, obviously.
Obviously. Chart predictions are predictions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that Bitcoin dominance figure, above 65% being the highest in 4 years, just underlines Bitcoin's current strength.
Right.
Oh, and one interesting stat, a 3% Bitcoin allocation apparently outperformed cash and money market funds since 2020. Shows the potential, but also the risk, right? High volatility.
For sure. High reward, high risk. Was there anything else? Alpaca liquidations?
Yeah, just a brief mention of liquidations on Alpaca, which is like an algo trading platform. No real details, though.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up, bringing it all together from this deep dive. The crypto market's clearly having a moment, a significant upswing.
Definitely. Lots of green.
And it really seems like that news about potential U.S.-China trade talks is being seen as a major catalyst for the positive mood.
That's the main narrative coming from the source, yeah. Driving sentiment across markets, Bitcoin's looking particularly strong, both price and dominance-wise.
But it's important to remember, like you said, while the tide is rising, individual coins like XRP and Doge, they have their own stories, their own technicals playing out.
Absolutely crucial. It's not monolithic. And this whole market surge is happening against this backdrop of, well, complex global stuff Trade talks, yes, but also central bank moves, geopolitical events.
Right, like that India-Pakistan situation. Unexpected things can always pop up.
Exactly. It's all interconnected, constantly shifting.
So a final thought for you listening. Given how linked global trade news and crypto seem to be right now, maybe think